Welcome to the I Get Better podcast with your hosts, Charlene Renee and Phaedra Smith, where we discuss topics related to life, love, mental, physical, and spiritual health, and how we can all get better together. Welcome back to the I Get Better podcast. This is your host, Phaedra Smith.
And I'm Charlene Renee.
And we are continuing our topic on relationships. So I get better at dating.
Yes, dating relationships. So, we talked about our friendships. We talked about our family. We talked about couples and marital relationships. So now we are going to talk a bit about the dating phase. And we have a special guest with us today. Ms. Markala Brown, our resident single lady representing.
Hey, ladies. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for being here with us. We are glad to get another perspective on this topic of dating. So
yes.
We are all at 3 different phases in our lives. So we thought it was important to come at the dating angle from different perspectives. So we have Phaedra representing for the married ladies in the house. I am representing for the divorcee ladies in the house who are dating. And then Kayla is representing for the not have been married yet ladies in the house.
Yes.
And we're going to talk a little bit about our experiences and why it is important to get better at dating relationships. So let's get going. Let's jump right in. We always have to start off with the definition, right?
Yes,
that's our MO. Important. We got to define what we're going to be talking about. So it was hard to find a good definition of the dating as we're referring to it. So I did end up tracking down a couple of things. So dating is defined in one dictionary as an appointment to meet at a specified time. I got to get this right. A specified time, set up a date, like to set up a date, especially a social engagement between 2 persons that often has a romantic character, or to go out with someone in whom one is romantically or sexually interested. So that's a mouthful to say. An appointment to meet at a specified time in a romantic setting. So that's the type of dating we are talking about today. And I think it's a good topic for us to discuss. Because,
I agree,
we got people out here just doing it all types of wrong. And we want you to get right. We want you to get better. That is the whole point of this, is for us to get better. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about what are some of the issues. Why is it important for us to be discussing this? And then we're going to get into, of course, some ways to get better at dating. So let's start with our guest. We want to bring you to the forefront. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your experience. Are you dating currently? Are you currently participating in this dating game?
I am currently single. I've been single for a while now. Got out of a relationship not too recently, but I'm single, doing my thing.
But are you dating is the question.
Well, I guess you could say that. Yeah, I'm dating. I go out from time to time, or may go out on a date, or get to know someone here or there. So yeah, I guess you could say that.
All right, so you have some experiences in this, some current experience and some past experience.
We got some experiences under this bill.
Okay, so we're going to jump into it. So, Phaedra, are you dating currently?
Yeah, we date. It's more, I think it's difficult when you have kids and other responsibilities, but yeah, we try to make sure that we're intentional about that.
Okay, so we have 2 dating people on the show right now. I didn't
Charlene,
answer the question. I didn't answer the question on purpose.
Yeah, let's ask you the question. Are you?
I'm on a fast.
And the saint said, "Amen."
So let's talk about it. Let's talk about some of the common problems that can arise in dating relationships. So first, let's just define it as, we're talking about people who are actively dating. So seeking those social engagements between other people that has a romantic character to it. So we're not talking about friendship dates or girlfriend dates or male guy meetup dates. We're talking about specific social intentional activity with the person you're trying to create a romantic dynamic with. So what are some problems that the two of you, well, let's start with Kayla. Just give me one. What's something that you see is like a common issue that you yourself or maybe a friend has experienced that you think is prevalent in the dating world today?
I think just not a clear communication of what's happening. Like, hey, I'm into you, and are you into me? Like, what's the clear definition of what we're doing? And I just think miscommunication, missing the signs, not being clear of what's really taking place here.
Okay, so not being on a clear understanding of
On the same page.
What we doing?
Right, right.
Okay, so we're gonna put that pin in that. So communication, poor communication, and a lack of understanding of if you two are both moving towards the same target.
Correct.
Okay,
See,
so
more like you.
Yeah, be fast.
That was clear.
Right. Okay. There we go.
Clear
so
right there.
and
I don't help somebody today.
So that would go along with one of the things I had down, which was having either unrealistic or unclear expectations. So not being clear about what you expect or being very unrealistic about what you expect.
Right.
So that puts me in the mind of like, I know like when I was coming up like in high school or in my younger years where it was like, are you talking or are you dating, right? So there was a difference. There was a clear difference between we're talking and we're dating. Like, do you go together or are you just talking, right? And I think a lot of that is not being clarified right now. Are you talking or is you talking or is you dating? Like, what are we doing? So I think that is true. Like, not communicating about what you are doing. Because if you don't know what you're doing, then you already got a big problem. So
if you don't know what you're doing, you don't know where you're going. So
right. So yeah, all types of confused.
All types.
So okay. So poor communication. I think another common problem in current dating relationships is not having things in common, like not really being
that's a big
on the same, not just not being on the same page as far as what you're looking for, but just not being compatible. Incompatibility.
Yeah.
And
very much so.
If you're not compatible, you are just totally opposite. I think the opposites attract only go so far. And if you are really two different people, not into any of the same things, and one person likes to go out, one person likes to stay in, one person don't like this type of food, they don't like this, like it's just not gonna work. It's gonna be too much trying to compromise. And I think a lot of unhappiness comes from having to compromise everything. So incompatibility, I think, is a big issue. Phaedra, what do you think? I know you're not out there in the jungle.
It's the jungle now, Lord help us, Lord.
Of what's happening right now, because you're just an old married lady, but you know you're a therapist, so I imagine you have seen other people in this dating game, and they've come to you and told you about it. I'm sure I've told you about it. So.
I mean, honestly, it's scary to me because I'm like, Lord have mercy. You don't know where you're gonna be in the next season of your life, and but I would think just from some of the lessons that I've heard about that you have to be extremely cautious just with your life and also with your heart. So having a level of vulnerability is difficult with people that you don't know, and especially when you're trying to get to know people. And so my question for you ladies is are you just dating to date, or are you dating for marriage? What's the point? What's the purpose? Do we need to have a purpose? Does that change the game? when you have a purpose?
See,
Don't
for
everybody
me,
speak at once now.
right, because it's like crickets. But if I must say, I think it really does depend on where you are at your time of life. You know, because some people just want to be having a good time. Some people are not into getting serious. But like I said before, I'm just one of those people. I need to know, what's happening and have a plan. I would like for people who I get to know to date with a purpose, so I know what's the common goal here, and we can get on the same page. I think that all ties into that, so it's very true. um some people don't come in there thinking like, hey, we're just gonna date, we're just gonna do our thing. Or hey, there are some people out here like, hey, what you plan on doing, because I am in my 30s.
Right.
This is what I do for a living. I want to have kids. Do you believe in God? Like, get more of a stable, platform, like you said. So I think it all depends on that person and where they are in their life at that season.
Well, I think that's where that communication piece falls. And so it's hard because you don't want to scare people away in the beginning. But
Right.
I do think that having expectations, and at some point, so at what point in the, I don't know, in the courting process, if people still do that, at what point do you start bringing up that conversation without freaking people out?
I think it's important to have that conversation, like, right off the bat, but just ease your way into it. Like, separate those questions over the first couple of conversations that you actually have with that person. So it's not all at one time. But I think it's a smart thing to do. I think that it's also protecting yourself and also putting yourself out there like, hey, this is who I am, this is what I'm looking for. But you could just,
Yeah,
separate
I agree with that. I think coming out the gate early on is best to have that conversation. I think it won't scare away a person who's looking for the same thing as you.
I like
If it's
that.
somebody who isn't trying to do that, it gives them the opportunity to say so, because then it's not about wasting anybody's time. Now maybe the having kids and all of that situation could kind of be delayed, but as far as your intentions and what you're looking for and what season you're at in your life, I think there's nothing wrong with bringing that out within the first one or two conversations, because why waste time going out? Months go by and now you're like, oh well, I thought we were just chilling. You thinking we're about to get engaged, you out here wedding dress shopping, and so it's not fair.
It's like, nah, sis.
Yeah, so, and it's important to get that out, and then it's also important to be honest with yourself and honest with that other person, because if you can't say, hey, I'm just dating just to date, which really I don't understand that, but I think it is possible to date just to date. Maybe you don't want to call it a date if you're just dating casually, or you just maybe want to go out to eat with someone and share their company and time. It doesn't mean you're looking to marry them. It doesn't mean that you want to be in a committed relationship.
So then I have a question for you ladies. So does that change the method at which you date? Because there are apps that you can use that I don't understand why people go on these apps and they expect to find their husband on these apps, when truly these apps are set up for different things. So is there a certain method that you should not use if you're looking for something serious?
I can't say. Well, let me give my response and I'll let Kayla respond. I think that just depends on the person. We are in a day and age where now you can, you do have online dating, you do have social media, you do have all these other methods to meet people. I don't think you can necessarily put it in a box where you're going to meet your person that you're going to be in a relationship. You might meet them in the grocery store. You might meet them in the drive-through line. You might meet them, at the fair. Wherever you happen to be, you may meet somebody who's a potential mate. I think even if you are using these other platforms, you should still be clear about what you're looking for and what you expect. And you might, end up maybe with not the best selection, depending on the area that you're shopping. But I don't think it really matters where you are, as long as you're clear on your intentions and your expectations. Now, the other person would also have to be equally yoked.
What does that mean now?
Equally yoked. That's a biblical term, right? They need to also be on the same page, because I know people personally who have met people on dating apps and have gotten married, and it worked out for them. And then you also hear the horror stories as well. But you hear that from people who met in church or who met in school,
Come on, someone.
who went to college together. So I don't necessarily think it's the platform. I think it's about the person. It just depends on, like Kayla said, where you're at in your life and the season you're in. If you know you're not ready to be in a committed relationship, then I don't think you should date as if you're ready to be in a committed relationship. If you know you're not necessarily even marriage, because some people never want to get married. They may want to be in a committed relationship, but they might not want to get married. Some people never want to be in a committed relationship, but that doesn't mean that they refrain from dating. They may want to date multiple people. So that may be their goal. So it's not so much about what you want to do, is how you communicate it to someone, and can you let your actions line up with your words. Like, don't tell people you want to be in a committed relationship and you know you don't. You really just want to be casual. You just want to hang. You just want to go out and have fun and not necessarily be tied to that person. So, Kayla, let me let you respond to that.
Man, it's so hard to follow that because you had so many like golden nuggets. But I would say in that type of situation, your actions have to match your words, like you said. So you can't be out here like it's 2019. So if you're trying to, let's just say you are on websites, right? There's different type of websites that attract different type of, genres of people that you are looking for. So if I'm trying to be committed, right? I would typically think, man, if I'm wanting to get married and I'm wanting to find the man of my dreams and I'm just out here, right? Let me try to see what eHarmony talking about. Match.com. They always say married since 2016, married since 2000, this date or that date. But if I'm saying like, hey, I want to be married, I might not be on a website like Tinder, talking like all of that kind of things, because I feel like that's a different type of audience that is pertaining to. Now, I also would go and say hand in hand, a connection is a connection. And when you are able to make it, like you say, you can make it in the grocery store, you can make it at church, you can make it, wherever. You just want to be clear about what you are pitching. It's just like a business. What is your business? What are you selling so that you can attract the right audience and that right person for you, so that they don't come with mixed signs like, hold up, wait a minute. I thought we were just, going to get a dinner and a movie. You trying to, do candle lights and rose petals and all that kind of stuff. Like, you just want to make sure that communication is key and your actions are lining up with your words. Because I don't want to put myself out here like, oh, I'm just out here just doing my thing. Like, I don't need no type of, plan. Hey, you look good to me. You smell good. Oh, you cute. You got a nice car. Let's just go with that, right? And then, as you say, time goes on, that person is going to be like, okay, well, I still smell good. I still got a nice car, but I'm seeing two other people while I'm seeing you. And we never had that conversation, or my actions never lined up with that. Now we got a problem. Now I'm like, oh, here we go again. Right. You ain't no good, or you ain't no good, or whatever the case may be. So it's like what Phaedra was saying. I don't think it necessarily changes the method, but what should never, that should just be open. Whatever happens on that arena. But what should never change is who you are as a person and what you're looking for.
Right. No, I agree with that. I actually read this book called I Kissed Dating Goodbye, and I don't know if you guys have heard of that, but I read it when I was like a teenager or something. And It's by Joshua Harris, and it has a lot of good stuff in it just about relationships. It is a biblical type of book. So it does have some scriptures and stuff in there, but it has some good, like really good information about it. And one of the things I liked about it was the 7 habits of highly defective dating. And so it has seven things that it kind of runs through about, defective dating. And one of the things, 6 was dating can create an artificial environment for evaluating another person's character. And I think that that's true, in that a lot of times when people are dating, it doesn't require a person to really accurately portray who they are, their negative stuff. It's almost like social media. Like, you're not going to be going on social media and putting some people put all their negative stuff out there, but most people put pictures up of them having a good time. And so sometimes when you're dating, that's what we tend to do. We want to put our best foot forward. And so I think dating should also include seeing people in their natural environments where it's hard for you to put on a show, So like seeing people with their family, seeing people with friends, seeing people, at church or wherever they are. I think that should also be a part of the dating process, is that you're not just going out on a date where you're getting dressed up all the time, but you're doing things that require you to be real. So yeah, what do you think, Charlene?
Yes, you definitely want to see people in different environments, because that's why they kind of call it a game, I think, is that people are trying to attract you and they're trying to get you to like them. So they will put their best foot forward, and you likewise likely will do the same. And that's a good thing. You want people to see the good in you, but you need to be honest and also show them the bad. And that's one of the things that I want to get into as we jump into the ways to get better, is understanding who you are as a person and accurately reflecting that to other people can make a world of difference, because it's not right to go out and present a false version of yourself to someone in order to get them to like you. If they're gonna like you, they're gonna like you for who you are. And if you can't be yourself in order for that person to be attracted to you, then that's a problem also, because now you have created a false version of yourself in order to attract the attention of someone. And that says something about your self-confidence, your self-esteem. And that's something that you really don't want to build a foundation of a relationship on. Another point I wanted to make is people have these timelines in place and these clocks, and they rush into situations. And it's like, man, we got to go out. We meet, we get numbers, we got to go out. We don't go out in a week, then it's a problem. If we don't do this in a month, then it's a problem. We don't put a title on it this time, it's a problem. Oh, we supposed to be changing our relationship status. We need to put some pictures up. We need to go take some pictures together. We need to go on a vacation together. Like, we got to do all this stuff because it's that back to that what we were talking about before, that FOMO, that comparison, that's looking at relationship goals, seeing other people doing this, and people rushing into these situations, and it just ends up in disaster. I've been there, done that too. You cannot rush these things. Take your time. You can get better at dating by slowing things down. Time reveals a lot of things. If people aren't being real, if people are pretending to be Mr. Nice Guy and Mr. Got It All Together, or Miss whoever, time will show the true colors.
Give them time to take off the wig and
give them time to wake up with their bonnet on,
to show you who they really are.
Show you them braids underneath the cap.
Show them cornrows, please.
Yeah, so give them some time. You need to see where it's going. Let things clarify your intentions from the jump. Do not jump into anything without having a clear picture of what your intentions are. Don't force other people to get on your page. If they're not there yet, respect that and say, okay, I understand you're not ready for what I'm ready for, and set boundaries for yourself. Do not lower your boundaries or your standards just to say that you have a date or that you're in a dating relationship. You have to be clear on what you want from the gate. Now, of course, things change. You change and you grow up and you may mature and something may be different for you, but it's really important that you are able to have a clear understanding of your own expectations. What are your deal breakers? What are your needs in a relationship? And ask that person what those things are also from the gate.
I'll say that another way to get better would be also to, time is good for the other person so they can be revealed, but also time is good for yourself, because from my own testimony would be that I have rushed into things a lot of times in my life because of fear, time, whatever it is, but allowing yourself also to be emotionally ready, making sure that you have worked on some of the things that come up. Dating, I believe dating is really a blessing in that it shows you yourself. And when you see yourself, make sure that you work on those things, because this person might not be the one, but you're going to be with yourself for the rest of your life. So the things that come up that show you some of the things that you need to work on, take some time to self-reflect and work on those things, and I also think dating is a blessing in that it is dating. We are getting to know one another. It's for the single world anyways. We're getting to know one another, and we possibly might not like each other. And so guess what? We can move on.
Yeah. I think that you have a get out of jail free card.
Yes. God bless you.
So yeah, this is the time that I feel like you get to just say, hey, this ain't working out. Love you, but I don't like you. Bye. So do you guys have any, Markala, do you have any thoughts on why people continue to date when they should leave?
You know what? I think from my experience, because I've been there and done that, where I've stayed in it when I knew good and well that that person wasn't for me or I wasn't for that person. I think because you get nervous about, man, I've already given it so much time. Maybe, just maybe, something miraculous will happen and my whole situation to turn around. A lot of people just kind of, instead of doing what's the right thing to do in order to get in a more healthier place or get closer to what you want to do, they stay stuck and stagnant in that situation with that person, thinking that, oh, this is going to get better or something's going to change, or maybe if I just do this thing or do that thing, and nothing happens, nothing changes, and they just stay stuck in it. Or I think another thing is people settle, I feel like that has a lot to do with it. And I also think that people stay stuck in it because they don't want to get out there and try it again and find somebody else who actually have what they are looking for or have that chemistry and that compatibility. A lot of people are just like, you know what, I'm just going to stick to what I know. I'm comfortable with this person. It's not perfect. They start justifying it like, it's all right. It could be better, but whose relationship isn't perfect? And you just stop yourself from really getting back out there and trying it again.
Yeah,
so
I think, I get it. But I need all of y'all that are listening to me. Listen to the sound of my voice.
Yes,
you are not married. You can leave. And even if you are married, I'm not saying you can't leave, but especially if you're not married. I know it's so hard to see beyond the current relationship you are in, but I think the fact that you aren't married says a lot, even in that, to really, and it goes back to that point where sometimes relationships and in the dating relationship really reveals a lot about who we are and the things that we are personally struggling with. So why are we choosing these types of relationships, and why are we choosing to stay in these relationships? That in itself right there is enough to go to see a therapist for and spend at least money for at least 6 to 8 sessions. There you go.
I'm just going to refer
Dang, not 6 to 8 sessions.
6 to 8.
No. I'm just going to refer everybody over the pages.
Well, yeah, but you know what I heard? The one thing that kept coming up as you were talking, Kayla, through all of that, fear.
It's real. It is real.
Afraid when you said the settling piece, when you said the I don't want to get back out there, or maybe it will change. Fear is behind of all of that. Fear that I'm going to be alone. Fear that maybe they will change and I will have missed out on the change if I leave.
That's a big one.
Fear that there's nothing better out there than this.
Lies.
Fear that it's so many things. Fear that maybe it's something I'm not doing right, and if I leave, then no one else is gonna want me. So you have all this fear surrounding the reason to stay in a relationship that you know is not going where you need it to go, or you're not compatible, or you're not for them, or they're not for you. And that's keeping you in a stuck position, and you just mad. You mad and unhappy, but you're like, this is all I can get for now, so this is what I'm going to settle for. I know, Phaedra, what's the first thing you said? You was like, I'm scared to have to be out there in that dating world.
And yes, you did say that. I remember that.
Right. So me, from my perspective, having been married and divorced and having to start dating in this, the new millennium, the 2000s is different. So I'm like, things have changed since I was a youngster coming up, and it's not the same. And there is a reason, like if you've ever been in a relationship and you've been hurt, a dating relationship, then there is a level of trepidation, I would say, to starting over again and getting out there and giving it another try, because you may feel like, well, what if the next person does the same thing, or does something worse, and then I'm just worse off than what I started. And that's a pessimistic view to take. I think in general, dating, relationships, it's all a risk. It's all a gamble. Love is a risk.
Oh, that's it.
And if you don't play, you'll never win. So I think from the opposite end, I don't think it's right to just say, I'm going to swear off all dating and swear off all men because there's nothing good out there for me and I'll never get married. I'll never find this. I think that's also coming from a place of fear. If you take that position, like, I just quit. I'm just going to be single for the rest of my life. Now, you may want to be single. Some people, you don't have to be in a relationship. That's another thing I want everyone to listen to and write down and take heed to is you do not have to be in a relationship. There's nothing wrong with you if you're not, or if you don't want to be in a relationship. That is perfectly fine. If you are really happy and content being by yourself and being single and living your best life and doing the things that you want to do, that's okay too. I think some people feel like it's not okay to be single.
Yeah, I agree.
If there's something wrong with them, if they're not dating.
Right. And I agree with you.
That's something I also want to put out there. It's okay not to date. It's okay to be okay with being by yourself.
And
personally
it's
enjoy it.
It's okay to date. I think dating for a purpose, I think it's also okay. And no one should make you feel like you crazy, because I think
you're doing too much.
You're doing too much. Yeah. I think you get to a point in your life and you know it where, hey, I know what I'm looking for. And I think that's okay to have standards and have a purpose behind what you're doing. Because I think if you don't, then you can plan to fail, and so.
Yeah, it's more than okay. I think it's necessary, because what I found in counseling couples that are already married, if you didn't have that conversation while you were dating about your expectations and about what you expect out of the relationship and what you need, because you were too busy trying to get each other to like you and putting your best foot forward and not being honest about your true self and your true feelings, now there's a problem, because you're wanting things out of this person or expecting things out of them that they never showed you while you were dating, that they were capable of, or that they were going to commit to doing for you, and now you upset. So I think it's more than okay. It's necessary for you to have those standards and for you to have your expectations of what you are doing and what your purpose is and what your intentions are.
And when you hear and when you see the signs, like, accept it, because being transparent, they aren't going to change. Like,
that is
you
so
know, I'm
true.
not saying that God can't change things, because I believe that he can, but there are some core things that we all have that are our personalities, and what you will do is spin your wheels and be upset and be have all types of negative feelings. But this person ain't trick you. And at the end of the day, if you took time to really date and get to know this person, then hopefully you went into it eyes wide open, and, you know, be accepting of who they are and who they say they are. Because you do not, listen, ladies and gentlemen, you do not have the power to change another person.
Don't.
Just put that out there. You don't.
Let's repeat that. Run that back for the people.
You don't have the power to change another person.
Oh, come on.
Listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth. So yeah, I wanted to get back on the dating, as in we are going out on a date, we're getting to know one another portion of dating, definition of dating. And I want to switch it over a little bit to the married couples, and why it's also important to continue dating when you get married. I think a lot of people feel like when they get married, and maybe even in a relationship, they feel like, oh, I know you, so I don't have to work anymore. And I had this article, it's by ifstudies.org, and it's about the benefits of date nights for married couples. And they actually looked at cohabitating couples and married couples. But one of the things they found, it says that we found that couples who went on monthly date nights together were more likely to stay together than those who hardly ever went out. So going out weekly didn't make a difference, but the odds of splitting up among couples who went out monthly or less were 14% lower than the couples that went out weekly or rarely. So having those date nights is important because it improves the quality of your relationship. And going into a relationship not with the standpoint where I know this person already because I've been with them for this amount of years, but going into it expecting to continue to get to know a person, I think that really is the key to continuing a quality relationship. I don't want to be with anybody that act like they already know me and also act like that I can't change. So dating should also be the act of continuing to get to know one another. What do you guys think?
I mean, I've never been married. Let me just put that disclaimer out there. But if I ever have the opportunity, I want to keep this thing fresh, or I want to find new ways to, continue to get to know my partner. I believe that my number one love language is quality time. So I want to make sure that quality is there. Moving forward, I think it keeps it fun. It keeps it light. Or, there's times where you could be having a long, stressful day, and your partner could be looking forward to that date night. And you can still experience your partner, your person, on different levels. It's not just, it doesn't become just it just doesn't become a boring routine. Like you come home from work, hey honey, how was your day? Oh, okay, good. Put the kids in bed by 8, and then you turn over and go to sleep and do it all over again.
Right.
It just gives your marriage that freshness. It gives it purpose. It gives it, that desiring element, and it just keeps that communication strong on so many levels. I think it's just absolutely necessary.
Right. I agree. I think if you look at dating as one of the medications, so if your relationship is this third entity, as I talked about before, and it's a whole nother body, and if the doctor told you dating is a necessary medication for your body to stay well, that would be something physically that you would do unless you are self-harming yourself. So I think if we look at dating as this thing we have to do, we must do it in order to keep the relationship well, I think we then now have more of a reason to make it a priority. But when we look at it as just an option, then we are always going to make excuses for why we can't do it, why we don't have the energy, why we don't have the time. And I think shifting your perspective of dating, whether you're single or married married or whatever, I think that if you start to look at it in a different way, then it becomes more valuable, and then it becomes something that you're going to take out time and have a purpose for and things like that. So, Charlene, we haven't heard from you. What do you think about what I just said? What do you think about the third entity and the dating piece?
Yes, I definitely believe that dating while you're in a married relationship or just a long-term relationship, I think you do need that to keep it fresh, to keep that connection. It doesn't always have to be something big. You can just go to the park, put a blanket down, and just sit and chill and eat a sandwich from Publix. Like, it doesn't have to be a major thing, but it's something to keep that time, that quality time, and that connection with one another. You can always get busy with work and kids and bills and everything else, but having that person to come back to at the end of the day, to know that you can always connect in that way, I agree, is very important, and make it a priority.
Right.
So I did have one more thing to bring up, because you said that it's necessary and it's a must when you are married to keep dating. But we also said on the flip side that if you are single, it is not necessary that you date at all. If you choose not to, if you don't want to be involved in a dating relationship at that time in your life, you do not have to. It is completely optional. And if you are dating someone, you also have the right to stop dating them at any time, and you don't owe them anything. You don't owe them an explanation. You don't owe them any obligation of your time. If you feel like it's not working for you, or it's not right for you, and it's not good for your mental and emotional health to remain in that situation, you have the right to get out of it. And the final point I really wanted to make as it relates to dating, and this is something I want to put on blast. If you have not dealt with your mental or emotional issue, please do not start dating anybody. Leave those folks alone.
Kiss dating goodbye.
Leave people alone. Okay, do not. If you have issues, and by issues I mean anger issues, past trauma issues, substance abuse issues, major issues, addictions, all kinds of things that you have not dealt with by yourself, and you decide to bring them into a relationship and just spread it out on other people, you are harming these people who now have to deal with you and then potentially take it on into another relationship, because once they find out you got issues, they're going to want to move on. So I think be in a position where you are healthy first. Right. Before you ever pick up that phone to get on that app or get on
I will say, Charlene,
somebody.
Some people don't know that they don't. So that's where we go back to that time piece. Give yourself some time to explore who you are. Stop rushing into things for other people to fix your life or to fulfill your loneliness or all this stuff. Give yourself time.
Please, for the love of anything. That is just leave folks alone. Okay, now. Can y'all tell I'm talking from experience? Like, deal with your issues. You know, even me, I had to deal with my own issues before I can put myself in a position to be in a relationship with somebody. So that's my final word for today. I think we got a lot of good points out. Of course, we could keep this topic going, and we want to keep it going. So for anyone who has something to say about dating, or if you have something that you really want to discuss, or a point you want to be discussed on a future episode, or just keeping the conversation going, make sure that you comment and send us questions, or send us an email, direct message us, so that we can hear from you on what your experiences is like in the dating world and how you get better or have gotten better at dating. So I think that's our time for today, ladies.
Thank you, Kayla. We had fun.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I always have a good time with you, ladies. So thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thanks for being here.
Well, that's our time today, guys. We hope that you enjoyed the show, and we hope that you continue to get better, because when we get better at relationships and dating, we get better at life in general. So that's just one element of our life that we can continue to get better at. Remember to like, subscribe, and share and comment. We hope to hear from y'all. Until next time, guys, let's keep getting better.